It's the EFR podcast, episode 36, COVID-19 coronavirus edition. Your host, Sammy BE, along with James Lyman, and on the boards we got John Sterling. What's up, y'all? Man, can I get a soul clap? Soul clap. Long time. Good, y'all. Soul clap. How's everybody feeling tonight?
Yeah, everything's good on my end, quarantine life.
Yeah, quarantine.
What you mean?
Quarantine life, quarantine night. A lot of news, man. Ain't really nothing been going on. Well, nothing but no money, no nothing. Everything's in a hole. But today,
unemployment.
Yeah, that's been going up. That's the only thing that's been going up is the unemployment. 26 million unemployed, James. Over 4, I think 4.4 million this week alone. Last week was over 6 million. 26. Are we in Great Depression numbers, James? I mean, you were born around the Great Depression. Are we there yet?
Well, about 10 years later. But
gotcha.
From what
that was a joke. That was a joke.
Not that old yet.
That was
okay.
A joke.
Well, the some of the news commentators and analysts have been saying that we're just about as bad as the Great Depression. Our unemployment rate is higher than any time during the Great Depression. That raises the question if this present recession is going to last longer than the Great Depression, which was almost 10 years long. Well, from 1929 to the start of World War II, 41.
Right. Well, let's kind of backtrack about like what's really going on here. We have 26 million people unemployed in the United States within 5 weeks of being in quarantine. These numbers are astronomical. We have a 15%, 16% unemployment rate.
Right.
Pretty much, my generation, the generation after, generation millennials, generation Z, generation X, baby boomers. No one's really seen these type of numbers like this, and
right.
They're saying the stimulus checks. They're already saying there's going to probably be a phase 4 probably because the stimulus checks and the money that's going out for small business loans have run out. They just today, the House passed the $484 billion stimulus bill the day before yesterday. The Senate passed their version. So those are supposed to be going out for small businesses and hospitals. And then we have the stimulus checks that was passed earlier than that, which was for individuals getting $1,200 one time check. But now there's already talk of more funding needed, and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's already said we're gonna have to wait and see or put the brakes on that, and the president's already calling that there might be another phase. So we're going to like almost 4 or 5 different phases where the Congress is just approving massive economic relief packages of this proportion. I think we're well over like $3 trillion already approved so far, maybe even more. Where do we stand?
I think it's about that. Well, our national debt is now up to something like 26 trillion, and there's big, serious questions. Can we pay this off? Because if not, then after a little while, we're going to start seeing inflation setting in.
Right. Well, that's what I think the reason why Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, also said is that that if we are going to go into the next trenches of the next approving more money, we have to also include the deficit into this, and this is why he kind of try to, he's on a wait and see type of game to see how this is going. But this is just going bad, man. I mean, the markets today were topsy-turvy. Even tonight on the futures markets, it's just looking hella volatile the last couple of weeks. And the fluctuations have gone up and down. A couple of medications today did not pass testing. There was supposed to be some type of testing on a couple of testing medication for COVID-19, and they both failed. They said, analysts and scientists have said. So, we're really on this is really more like a marathon with COVID-19. WHO organization, the World Health Organization, has already said this is a long-lived battle. It's going to be with us for a while. And, this isn't really going to be here until we find some type of vaccination, which they're saying is maybe a year to 18 months out. So this may be the new way of life. I mean, what do you think about that?
Well, it just keeps getting worse and worse. I just caught a news article. Yeah, that's one of my little nephew's expressions. One analyst or some analysts are saying that 100,000 retail stores will close by 2025. We're seeing a fundamental shift in our economy, starting with, this hyper-consumerism starting to crumble and give way. We'd already had something like 12,000, 14,000 retail stores that closed last year, and we were expecting for this year something like 16 or 18,000. And these are also, a lot of the big brand names, big box stores that are failing. All your major department stores like Lyman Marcus and Sears and J.C. Penney's and all those are just about down the drain. And then a lot of other smaller stores that name brands that are going bad. We've had apparels. They expect about 24,000 to close. We see consumer electronics. They're expecting 12,000. Then the home furnishings and the grocery retailers, 11,000 each. And then, of course, you have a lot of your restaurant chains that are folding up. So this is going to be a tremendous amount of jobs that go away right off. And then you have onto this that a lot of your AI experts are forecasting that in the next 15 to 25 years, upwards of 50% of the jobs are going to disappear. So, people are getting bumped off, but it's a very serious question. How many will ever get back on?
Well, I think also we brought up a good point of it being a fundamental economical shift. But let's also speak on, just to add on to that, let's speak about just the job market. I mean, you have people now saying maybe that this may be the new norm, working from home,
exactly,
home-based businesses, because not only are you looking at the economical and social environment front, but you also have the mental aspect of it, where people are just maybe not ready to go back into the workforce, the physical workforce, and be around people because of the impact of what this virus has been able to do to people's mentality as far as being around people. We have different physical and psychological, turmoil here, because the psychology of it that people may not want to go back into an environment where they're admitted with other people, and they don't know what the results are. And not only that, testing can't come fast enough, and there's just not enough tests. In a densely area like New York or the Northeast, where there's a lot of people densely populated, and where you're at in the Texas region, those had heavy red COVID-19 and coronavirus indicators, and those tests have not been able to be fulfilled yet. They're still trying to figure it out, and the local governments, state governments are trying to figure it out. But I don't know if they're going to be able to come as fast to become more and more,
And one thing that a lot of people forget on these tests, that you may be tested and come out negative, and 2 days later get infected.
Right.
Yeah, just because you're clear on the first test doesn't mean you're home free at all.
Right. That's another
I don't
thing
think there seems to be a lot of people that aren't appreciating that when they're talking about these tests.
Right. right? So the tests don't guarantee you that you're scot free. And then not only that, the relapse. Then there's also the relapse of getting it again, because there's in other countries there's people who've gotten it after they've tested tested positive or negative. They tested negative after they already had gotten it, and weeks later they've gotten positive again. So you're not totally immune from it.
There's a lot of unknowns about it, and that's what scares everybody so much, in these various governments and such, and why they're taking such extreme measures. They don't know how bad this is, how far it'll go. Nobody can say.
Right. So what do we do now with the economic front as far as the economy getting back? Is it, you have certain economists stating that, you have certain economists saying that maybe a V-shaped, more economists believe it's going to maybe be more of a W-shape, regardless of what shape or formulation it is going to be. I'm thinking it's a zero shape, meaning that it's not going to come as fast as people want it to come. Especially when you have.
It's going to be long drawn out, right? Yeah. Another factor is half the businesses in America are small businesses, and half the people work in these small businesses, and half of these small businesses don't have liquidity for more than about 15 days. They don't have any cash reserve for more than 15 days. So a lot of these small businesses are not going to come back. They're going to be gone. The jobs are going to be gone.
Right. So where does this play a role as far as there's been a lot of talk, and I don't know how true this is, and it might be true. It probably is. 20 years of over 2 decades of economic prosperity just wiped out because of what just happened within the last 5 weeks in the U.S. or probably longer. Because the U.S. has known about this since January, February, and it's slowly been creeping. Then it just hit the apex in March.
Yeah. I just saw one news article that the Disney company, Disneyland, Disney World, and all their other little businesses, they don't expect to open those parks until January 21 or even later.
Right.
And if the big, very cash-rich companies like those are having trouble reopening, get going, think how it's going to be for so many other of these smaller businesses, still chains and franchises and such, but they still don't have 6 months or a year worth of cash to help them. And I just don't see that these emergency loans that they've given are going to be enough to really keep them up and going.
Yeah, that's really a travesty. But I don't even know. I mean, January, for them to even say January to open up, I really, those Disney, they have a lot of assets, a lot of facilities all over the globe, and especially in the U.S. They have Disney World, Disneyland, and their other Epcot and all their other facilities in the U.S. They attract a huge, big number. I don't see them opening up until there's a vaccination, because sports are the same way. They're saying with the arenas that it might have to be filled. I mean, I'm sorry, it might have to be empty for a while for sports to really fully come back. They're already speaking of sports and the different types of sports teams and different types of sport categories having to open up, where they just playing like limited people just to staff the work, or it's just being more on TV. I mean, I think Dr. Fauci, who's one of the heads of this coronavirus, the COVID-19 team at the White House, he's already stated that he doesn't see it being able to be effective without it not being, sports coming back to normal without people. I mean, basically sports having to stay on TV and not people in the stadiums because the transmission of the virus. So sports is going to have to change for a while. And these big arenas, the big theaters, movie theaters, big arenas, big music concerts, and Broadway shows, and all these other things that come along with having massive audience and festivals and carnivals may have to wait until the vaccinations are fully adherent to people, because I don't see how this will work out without a vaccination, without a type of medical drug. And two medical drugs that were there today just failed, and that's been causing controversy of the markets.
Yeah. And another thing is all the trade shows and conferences and such. Of course, that is a big impact for hotels and restaurants, but still, there's a lot of business conducted, like medical conferences and science conferences, and even real estate and banking. And none of those are happening now, and that's another drawdown, I think, on the economy.
Right. Well, that goes into businesses, right? Because those conferences can only be able to function if people pay conferences and those other conventions. People have to pay, reserve those, right? So if you can't have free movement, people are not going to pay. This is really, and this is really kind of crazy, because this is when something like it happened in 2007, 2008, where it was more of an economic impact, where lending and financial businesses and the real estate businesses and anything that has to do with business pretty much came to a halting stop. Credit, everything. This is more of a health issue that's now impacted the economy to a greater scale than what an economic devastation would have done. Which is pretty weird, because usually if an economic collapse of the banks, of lending, loan, real estate, the economic substance, that would be more understandable. This is something that the banks are strong, by the way. Lending is strong. Everything was strong. Yeah. This is more of a health issue or a healthcare issue that came into effect that now has crippled the economy and crippled businesses and crippled the labor force and the workforce, almost blindly over something that's happened. The last time this has happened was over 100 years ago. So this is kind of mind-boggling, to say the least, and no one really has answers.
No, there isn't an answer so far. One other thing to consider is that all the other world economies are collapsed, falling down, and those in turn are pulling our economy down.
Right.
We're not alone or by ourselves. That's a big albatross for us to try and carry.
Well, when you're in a recession, or in this case, maybe close to a depression, I don't know. I mean, when you're in a recession, it's cyclical, so it's going to be everybody. It's the domino effect. Just like the recession that happened in 2007, 2008, and then we just barely came out of it in 2009. But it's a cyclical world. It's a world thing. This, right now, would you call this a depression? This is a depression. Some people have said that we've been in depression for maybe a few more months before that. Would you say this is a depression?
Well, I read a thing just a week or two or three ago that they said they avoid using the word depression because it has such negative connotations. Some think that we are now in a depression. And nobody wants to call it that because it conjures up images from the 1930s. But, we may very well, in terms of the employment of people not being reemployed. One thing that people don't realize that World War II ended the Depression for us in 1930s because it brought a lot of money in and everything, but everybody's expecting a recession after the war, which typically it is, but it didn't come. And that's because that World War II generated all these new technologies, new electronics, new communications, new aircraft technology, airliners and the such, radar and medicine. Penicillin was invented in World War II, first antibiotic. And all these new technologies created all these new markets. And that's when things, right after the war, after kind of a pause, it started going gangbusters. And the 50s were really good. Things were really doing good. We don't have this mass core of new technologies, new products coming in to create a new economy or markets and such. We just got the unemployment. And, the chances of mass new technologies leaping forward like it did in World War II are rather slim.
Well, I wouldn't say. I mean, we definitely in a technological time period. I definitely believe in the idea of adversity comes, and there's ways to overcome that. When opportunities like this come, this is the best opportunity to try to take advantage. So you don't think that maybe new technology or people are already formulating different ideas with the whole concept of more home-based type of working, labor force maybe being more remote, technology which is more remotely identified, just like World War II, like you say. Maybe this is a time for now innovation to come up.
Yeah.
And I think it may very well be people working on that right now. I definitely think the healthcare, the healthcare system is working hard as hell now. That's probably been a sector that's probably gonna shoot right off the roof. It's always been improving, but now that's gonna be like the forerunner of everything, because now if you don't have your health and you don't really have ways to be able to accommodate to do anything else, I think people are taking a better stance on that as well. Having good health, how can you do anything?
Well, after World War II, because of all the new technologies, 40% of the new jobs were being created by technology. And it was like that, but decreasing down at a gentle slope all the way through the latter part of the 20th century until we hit the 21st century, year 2000. And it's gone flat. And for the last 20 years, technology has not been creating new jobs, it's been taking them. With the AI, the robotics, and telecommunications, computer systems, and such. So, yes, I think we'll create new jobs, but not near at the unprecedented rate that was after World War II.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, this is definitely, we can definitely go into more of what ifs. I don't really like to go into what ifs, even though it's valid. Us as a society, if we don't know something, then we always create certain theories. But I'm surprised that you didn't talk about the 5G, because James, you're a theorist, conspiracy theorist, and what do you think about that? He's not, guys. I'm just joking. But this whole thing about the 5G networks. What do you get your insight about it? You're a tech guy.
Well, yeah, but a lot of it's going for the new wireless systems is going for the streaming, the entertainment, and such. And when you your money starts drying up because you don't have a job, or the job you have is now half time or whatever. One of the first things you cut back on is entertainment. So while we're not seeing anything right now, 6 months, a year, 2 years from now, if this continues like it threatens to, we could see quite the dry up of the internet and the 5Gs, 4Gs, all that stuff not being near as used, and money not being available to create new software. There's been a big rush for the last 10 years or more with the streaming coming on. There's companies trying to find and generate new software to go on it. They're so desperate that they were going on YouTube and buying amateur productions that people had been doing and just posting and using that to put on their streaming. And they've been putting in now billions of dollars per year to create new content to keep customers. So I don't know just how much of a real impact that will have on carrying things forward if people just don't have the money to splurge on a lot of recreation. you can buy a Domino's and Monopoly games for just a few bucks. And you may very well see that people are playing hearts and other games with their neighbors and more socializing than while they are now just sitting with a little smartphone and watching various TVs and movies. I don't know, we'll just have to see. But it's going to be a big problem. There's going to be a lot of unhappy people, particularly the young, the Generation Z. Keep in mind that the true definition of a revolutionary insurrectionist is young, under 30, and having a sense of nothing to lose. And that's what we've been creating with our universities and schools. Now we're creating even more with our economy. So it can get dangerous, very dangerous.
All right. So I guess that's the no to the conspiracy theory question. Even though what do you think about the conspiracy theory for the 5G? No, it's not. It just has nothing to do with 5G, or it has everything to do. What do you think about that? No. Right.
There are some speculation that the Chinese were using the new genetic editor CRISPR, CRISPR, which is something like a word processor for DNA. You can sit there and edit it and cut pieces and insert pieces and very quickly make up your own design. And of course, there's been a lot of worries of countries using that to manufacture bioweapons. And there's some speculation that that's what they were doing and it got away from them.
Gotcha. I never heard anything about that. That's something I could look into, but I mean, that's under the conspiracy theory files.
Well, not really conspiracy, but more of a screw up, follow up.
Yeah, I heard something they were working on, something that may have gotten out of hand, and they couldn't catch it fast enough. I don't know if that was that. But
CRISPR.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about that being it. But again, that's something.
That's more technical, so you probably don't hear much about it in the general news media or the such, unless you're kind of following the genetic engineering, reading Science News and Scientific America. But most people never heard of it, have no idea what it might be or what it could be done with it. But a lot of the genetic advancements that we've been making the last few years have been because of it. And there's a lot of hope that we're going to be able to custom make new drugs by editing DNA.
Gotcha.
If the technology can be used for good, then some fool can use it for bad.
Right,
it's just a fact of life.
That's how it is. All right. Yeah. Well, we keep the people posted on what's going on with COVID-19, the coronavirus, and how is it really affecting the economy? And, people's, as it affects the economy, it affects people's wallets, their finances, and we are the Economic and Finance Report. This is episode 36. I'm signing off. Sammy BE, Businessman Bastion, along with James Lyman, and then on the board, the muted Don Sterling. We have the EFR podcast, episode 36. Stay blessed, be safe, stay inside.